All right, folks, we're back here. Week 2, episode 2 of the FBNF podcast. Austin Brown here with your boy, Jason Mero. We got a
Yes, sir.
lot to talk about. Last week, we talked too much. So let's make sure we keep ourselves on track here. We love talking about this sport we call football and this world we call fantasy. But we're on track here. We're getting a little bit more professional in week 2, episode 2. So we're going to start off with Mike Mero's team, who's in the draft position number 7. Jay, why don't you tell us a little bit?
Yes. So right off the bat, you really kind of do see the main thing here in regards to quarterback. You need quarterbacks for super flex, and he has Anthony Richardson. So obviously, I'm going to be a little bit objective here because this is supposed to be before week 1. But Anthony Richardson looked good. He looked good last week, so that's definitely something that probably hypes up Mike um a lot with his kind of stance there. After that, it pretty much kind of falls off with Desmond Ridder as his pretty much only other quarterback, I believe, after analyzing this, which kind of leaves him in a little bit of a hard place. It's going to be interesting to see if he does make any moves and if he is a competitive individual in this league. But Andy Richardson definitely he looked the part. And he has that stack with Michael Pittman, and a lot of people were worried about Michael Pittman, me included. You can't really trust those rookie quarterbacks. To really help your wide receivers put up good wide receiver one numbers, and that's what everyone's always reaching for. But Michael Pittman last week, I said no, we're going to be a little objective here, but week 1 happened, so I'm going for it. I don't care. 8 receptions, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Are you kidding? That's incredible. That's exactly what you're looking for out of there. What do you think about the A Rich and Michael Pittman duo?
It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I I did like Anthony Richardson from the get go. I think athletes always prevail, and I think that
Best QB
organizations,
athlete as well. Best QB
yeah,
to ever do the combine ever in NFL history.
yeah. So I think these franchises don't always make the right decisions, but when it comes to quarterback, when it comes to athleticism, I think when they find somebody that can change the game, they really put pieces around him. Now, not so much through the draft. I mean, other than Downs, but I think the Colts already had a team that was ready to compete, that was ready to be top notch. I mean, obviously Taylor's situation is annoying. We already talked about that with Ben's team, but Anthony Richardson's only been playing ball for a couple of years. This guy's literally only going to get better. I mean, unless the pressure and human nature cracks him, just repetition and experience, he's going to just continue to flourish in the NFL. So great pick by Mike. Um,
Yeah, and he got him
probably
at
a
the
steal. Probably a
second.
steal at what, the 307?
Was it three? Yeah, 307. That's actually pretty
Yeah,
impressive. So that's
probably a
good.
steal. I think those rookie quarterbacks all kind of went late.
They did
Um,
for
so
sure.
they were all pretty much values, but with the dual threat, that is definitely the upside of the top 3 from this draft class.
Yep. And then kind of also moving on for first round pick, Jamar Chase. Obviously he had a down week last week, but the Bengals overall just looked terrible. So we're just gonna call that a wash.
Yep.
But Jamar Chase definitely one of my favorite people to really have a good week again with Joe Burrow in week 2. But Jamar Chase is amazing. I think I also said this last time for episode 1. I really think he is going to overtake that wide receiver 1 position with Joe Burrow. They're just going to be together all the time. So why not? You know, Justin Jefferson's definitely making me kind of regret that statement. He's had 2 games already. He's absolutely been dominant, but we'll see what happens there. Drake London, obviously, with that goose egg last week. The Atlanta Falcons passing game is definitely very, very concerning. It's going to be interesting to see how much he is incorporated in the offense. If you kind of look at his stats from last year, they're not terrible, and this is something that you want him to, elevate within season 2. But only getting 1 target last week, we definitely want him to reach this 1K mark. We want him to get more touchdowns and kind of just be more involved in the offense. It looks like it's more the Bijan and Tyler Algier kind of show here, which is kind of unfortunate, but hey, you do what you got to do. Yeah, but overall, like this trio of wide receivers is definitely very promising and also very young. So I think if they do excel, this is a team that can honestly benefit from these three in future years. I do believe Michael Pittman, though, is he on his fourth year? Yes, he is. So we'll see if he even sticks around with the Colts. So that's something going to be interesting. What about you? What do you think about these wide receivers?
I like the wide receiver names. I don't like the depth. I think that we fall off pretty much after those three. And with having a league that has got three flex spots, makes it a little difficult. He makes up for it with his running back depth, uh, which is always nice because when you're trying to compete, that running back depth is everything. I mean, if you're in a fantasy league right now, everyone's feeling the injury bug. There's been just too many injuries in week one. It was such a chaotic week one. Um, and, you know, Mike seems to have survived the injury bug for his running backs right now. Javonte Williams is going to only continue to get more and more work as he continues to recover from his knee. Saquon's going to be fine. Pierce is going to be fine, at least as an RB2. And if I look at his bench, pretty sure he's got another.
AJ
You got
Dillon.
Charbonnet, who's probably going to mix in. Uh, Not the starter, but P. Ryan's going to get, reps all season long. Um, Gus is now probably going to be the dude. Zeke showed that in the Patriots he's going to get some points. So Mike's going to find a way to fill his flex. It's just going to be, in my opinion, inefficient because wide receivers tend to be more efficient, especially in this PPR league that we're in. So overall, really good team.
Yeah, and
Uh,
he has that, and
Young
two,
names.
he has two really good tight ends too. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Young
like
names
this
at tight end, young names at
Goddard,
wide
Pat
receiver, young
Riley.
names at running back. It's the downfall is just the fact that we're in a super flex league. That's really it. Um,
I will say though, he also got a first for next year from a trade with you actually. So, 224 first, that's something that you're looking for. And those firsts can definitely be valuable, especially in a quarterback class that's coming up. The quarterback class that is about to come out is actually ridiculous. There's so many of them. So one of them
there's
are
some
Mike's gonna get one. He might
yeah,
even get two. So
yeah, there's some depth. There's definitely some depth. I think I was reading something that there's like three legitimate NFL starters with the possibility of seven. So
incredible. And
so it's
there is a QB problem going on in the NFL. There's just not quality ones going on. So
yeah, it's a changing of the guard.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, overall, good team. I would say, I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck into the playoffs at all and that 6th seed at all. But I don't know if they're going to be winning any championships. Definitely something they're building for the future. They have those 224 first, so it's going to be interesting to see what this team really looks like in a year or two from there. But
Yeah,
all right, moving on to Frankie. All right, Frankie. So the first thing I see here is Brees
Brees
Hall
Hall.
when he made that trade for Brees Hall. And he made that trade with Pat. But hey, once again, I know where I say I'm not thinking about week one, but week one happened, so I'm going for it again. Brees Hall looked good. Good. 100 yards and 2 carries last week.
What do you have, an 80 yarder?
In 83, and his first touch was 22 yards. I will say I was at the Jets game. Go Jets! Kind of sad, whatever, but we'll see how the season goes. But
It was
Brees
a
Hall,
win, man. Can't
yeah,
be sad with a W.
it was a win, but was the win worth it? We'll see. But yeah, seriously, Brees Hall, Sav, he honestly came out and proved everyone wrong already. He's going to be amazing. I think he's right behind Bijan Robinson with the RB dynasty rankings. Like, I might even put him number one because I'm a homer. But seriously, he did amazing. I'm not even worried about that. He's going to be awesome to come. Kind of
I don't
moving
think
on.
you have to be a homer. I
That's
think he's the guy. I think
He's amazing.
I think he's got a better situation than the Falcons do as well. Just a more balanced system, so he's going to flourish from people not being able to load the box.
Oh, 100%. And that's a really good point right there because the Jets are, well, now with Zach Wilson, we'll see if they're going to try to make Zach Wilson win the games. But um, moving on to DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift went crazy week two. I know week two, that's what we're talking about right now. He had 170 rushing yards, I believe it was. Yeah, 175. That's absolutely insane. It's going to be interesting to see if the Eagles really make him the RB1. I know. What's the coach's name? Um, I don't know. It's
Straight
slipping.
goop,
It's
straight goober. I don't care
yeah,
about him.
but he was just like, oh, it's going to be changing every week. Why would it change every week if you just went off? Kenneth Gainwell did not do that good next week. DeAndre Swift has always been great, but he just always gets hurt. So it's really just going to be a whole injury thing with him. So if the ball's in his court, this is his time to really take over our backfield and stay healthy. And Philadelphia is his hometown, so hopefully he has that extra motivation to do so. Um, Kind of moving on to his other running backs. I don't believe there is Cordell Patterson making his return today. It would be interesting to see how that kind of how that's kind of intertwined with everything. But honestly, those
He does
only
have
two running.
Williams. I don't know
Wait,
how long Williams will
oh,
hold a
Jamal
significant role.
Williams. Yes. But if Alvin Kamara is coming back week
Yeah,
4, so yeah, I mean that's probably a good flex spot for now. But that's
yeah, he
really it.
could be a
But
touchdown hawk like he was last year, but
what was
unless he's that,
what he
it's going
had
to be tough.
14 touchdowns last year.
Yeah,
17. That is crazy.
he was the goal line dude.
Wow, his picture is absolutely insane as well.
He's
But
top ten
that's
top
who.
10 cuckoo.
um, uh, but moving on to his quarterbacks here, you obviously see Aaron Rodgers there, RIP. That definitely stinks. I know he actually made a trade of you to get Zach Wilson, and he actually traded Sam Laporta. Frankie, what are we doing? Whatever. I remember I texted Austin the second that happened. That's just so funny. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. You believe in Zach Wilson. You love the Jets. Why not? Trevor Lawrence, though. I do. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. He is definitely approaching my top 6 quarterbacks. I think he's only going to continue to get better and better and better with Doug Peterson. That first year with the first half was fake with Urban Meyer. The guy has absolutely no idea what he's doing. The guy's a lunatic and he should not be around developing young adults because he's crazy. So Trevor Lawrence is amazing. I think he is going to be carrying this quarterback team. So I'm assuming he really only has Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson now via trade. Aiden O'Connell, that's a good name to look out for. Completely balled out in the preseason. What do you think about
Agreed.
Trevor Lawrence in this quarterback group here?
Yeah, I agree. I also like the second the Aaron Rodgers injury happened, I was like, career. I really was. I was like, that's it. He's in his 40s. The Achilles is devastating injury, but there's just more and more and more reports of just him wanting to be back next year, and I don't really buy it right now, but
No,
I
you
would
don't think he's gonna be back next year? I think he's
I
gonna be.
just
He's
I
not going
just
out like that.
if you look, well, Achilles is just, I mean, it's just, was it not his throwing foot?
It was his left foot.
All right,
So
well, I guess that's better than his right. I'll give you credit for that, but Achilles injuries are just really devastating. I
have
mean,
you
that
seen the
is the
reports today though that he might be back for the playoffs because he had a unique surgery where they were trying something. They put I don't know.
I will say that the surgeon, I should say, that worked on him also worked on Kobe Bryant, also worked on, was it Montana? One of the quarterbacks of old who tore his Achilles and got back to playing. The quarterback of old never was what he used to be. I just don't remember if it was Joe Montana or if it was somebody else.
Not sure.
But long story short, that quarterback never got back to what he was. I mean, he kept playing in the league for I think a year or two after the Achilles, but he just was never the same guy. Obviously, technology changes every single year. Obviously, these techniques change every single year. I have him in a league, and I'm keeping him in an IR spot because that league has an IR spot because you just don't know. So yeah, I mean, Frankie, you're gonna want to hold on to him. He's not gonna have any value. If you're
100%.
lucky,
There's zero
yeah,
reason to drop him.
if you're lucky, he comes back next year and you get to use a historic quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback. But unfortunate, we made that trade. You get another starter for a franchise. I hope he works out for you. He hasn't really done so in his past, but maybe just summer with Rodgers around has changed his mentality a little bit. Um,
All right, let's hear about
Trevor
Trevor Lawrence.
Lawrence,
Let's hear about
yeah,
Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence is an absolute beast. And they haven't even really unlocked his legs yet. I mean, the kid can run, and he's run in college, and he will eventually be a runner in the NFL. So, what was it, 5 touchdowns there his sophomore season? I think he's going to beat that this year. I think his rushing yards is going to be the highest he's ever had this year. They don't particularly run this offense through his legs, but I just know that they're gonna open that up. I think this year, but no doubt before next year or during next year.
Yeah. Moving on to wide receivers, definitely some depth here, but I don't know if we really look at this team and really have superstars. Deebo Samuel, he's kind of like an unknown. He obviously had that good season in 2021. I think he was like wide receiver like 3 or something. There you go, 3 or 2. But kind of like just looking at those PPR rankings and the half PPR rankings, even of his fantasy points, definitely just like a little bit troubling and concerning. You want someone with that more consistency, and if this is someone who's supposed to be his, wide receiver one and leading star here, definitely something that's a little bit concerning. Marquise Brown, obviously doesn't really have a quarterback right now. Honestly, don't really even know what he did last week. 3 for 28. You hate to see that.
Yeah,
Elijah
it's
Moore,
devastating.
it's going to be interesting. Amari Cooper might be injured for tomorrow night, so interesting to see if Elijah Moore is going to kind of step up. But I was Elijah Moore person, obviously as a Jets guy, so I mean he has the tools. He's shifty, he's elusive, so hopefully he can kind of be that yak wide receiver. Tank Dell got that rookie hype. Not sure if he actually even did anything last week. I don't think so. 3 for 34. It really does seem like it's more of the Nico Collins and Robert Wood show. And look at that. He actually has Nico Collins. So I'm sure he probably started him last week. Michael Thomas, I don't want Michael Thomas anywhere. I'm just not the Michael Thomas kind of guy. Zay Jones, KJ Osborne, Corey Davis retired, so you hate to see that. Honestly, not like a terrible wide receiver room, but you want one of these people to take that next step so they could be his, confident wide receiver too. He is playing them every single week. I think he's really going to be shuffling a lot of these things. And Travis Kelce, obviously tight end number one, not even a question about it. So, and he's back this week, so fire him up. But yeah, what do you think about this wide receiver room here?
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is a lot of spike weeks. I think what you're hoping for with this team is that those spike weeks correlate against, the toughest guys in the league. Um, you know, Debo's going to have a 20 plus week. Maybe Marquise Brown has a 15 plus week. Elijah Moore has a 15 plus week. Not Tank Dell, but Collins has a 15 plus week. Michael Thomas, maybe he's still got the juice a little bit, has a 20 plus week. But will they all line up? More than likely not. What you have is a bunch of dice rolls, and every now and then you're going to hit, snake eyes. You're going to hit, the roll you want, and sometimes you're going to hit the absolute worst possible outcome. Um, your stability is Lawrence. Your stability is Hall. Swift is yet to be
We'll see.
determined if he's going to be stable. But you got spike weeks from Swift. You got spike weeks from Debo, spike weeks from Marquise Brown, spike weeks from Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas. Like Jason's saying, they're all names. They're all names that people probably want on their team, but it's going to be tough to be consistent. So your hope is that, when you're going against the middle of the run or the teams that aren't really going to make the playoffs this year, that you can just sneak by. And when you're going against the teams this year that are pretty much destined for playoffs, um, you're hoping that those all kind of, the stars align and you get that spike week from Debo, Elijah Moore, and Michael Thomas all at the same time. Um, in the in the future, I think you're looking for one or two stable pieces at each spot, right? You're looking for a stable piece at quarterback along with Trevor Lawrence. You're looking for a stable piece at running back if Swift doesn't turn out. You're looking for a stable piece, maybe one or two for wide receiver in your wide receiver and one of those three flexes. I think a good strategy in super flex in general is to lean on a producer in every single position, right? If you break up everything, you break up quarterback, you break up running back, you break up wide receiver, tight end. Well, tight end's the solo spot, so you're just hoping for the best you can get. And then if you take flex as its own position, if you can get one guy who's going to be a dude every single week, you're talking 14 plus points every single week. You're pretty confident going into every single week. I don't think we're quite there. I don't think we're quite there. That's where I'm at. Don't
Yeah,
hate your team,
and
Frank.
and he gave away his first though for Brees, also something to consider. But all right, moving
Yeah.
on to another team here. We are now moving on to Jose, who obviously went with the approach. Obviously, if we had to draft, you knew what Jose was doing. He was going all in with these old grandpas out here. They're probably entering the retirement home as we speak. But right off the bat, you really do see really an oldish team here. Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins holding it down at quarterback, Matthew Stafford at his quarterback three. Three names that are, they're definitely going to be around in the league for a couple more years. So I really don't hate them. They all have top 12 capabilities. I even think Kirk Cousins was top 12 last year. He was number 6. I thought he was number 1 for a second. I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. But number 6 is pretty good. Dak obviously was hurt, but let's see how many points per game he put away last year. Actually, it's gone because it's 2003 already, so we cannot see that. But I really do like the quarterback, especially with Matthew Stafford, who got a win last week, and honestly, it looked pretty good doing it without Cooper Kupp. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the Rams kind of continue to move forward. But that's honestly a pretty solid QB room that he has here. It's really, I think the toughest thing for him is going to be like, who is he going to start every week? It's not
Yeah.
like any three of those quarterbacks are like, this is an automatic start. Well, do you feel like that? Do you think any three of these quarterbacks are an automatic start every single week, or are you looking at these matchups every single week?
I think I'm looking at the matchups between Dak and Stafford because
Okay.
Stafford was the big question mark. I think Stafford was last year he was injured. Is he done? Is he retiring? What's the plan here? What's the team's plan here? Is Cooper done? Is he retiring? Is Sean McVay done? Is he retiring? So I think there's a lot of question mark, but I think they've all come together. I mean, obviously Coop is still injured. He'll be back at some point, but will he be Coop? Um, I think Kirk is a lock. I think he's got the best wide receiver in the league. I think you have to, lean into those spike weeks that are going to happen. It seems like Justin Jefferson is destined to get 100 yards every single game. So you got to take those free points, and that receiving core is so good. Hawkinson and Addison is making mistakes on the NFL field and still coming away with 75 yards plus and a touchdown. The kid's going to be electric once he understands this entire offense. So
AJ Osborne too. Yeah, he puts
yeah,
up. So.
their last option, KJ Osborne, is still putting up numbers and scoring touchdowns. Right now, it's a Hawkinson Jefferson team with a sprinkle of Addison and just a little topping of KJ Osborne. Um, but by the way, I hate Madison. Just have to hate him
No,
so
I,
much.
I I agree as well. I was never on the Madison train for this year. Actually, I've been in another league and I tried to get rid of him, but no one was really biting because he sucks. So,
Did you
um,
watch the Eagles game? Did you watch the Eagles
of
Vikings game
course,
Thursday? All right,
he.
see that Madison fumble, like
Yes.
almost. Okay, that would have lost me the bet.
All right, so now
So
we're
I
diverting because
actually
that's.
I actually threw a pillow across the room.
But
We're
honestly,
good.
moving on to running backs here, like Madison is just, I don't know. He really needs to step it up. He does not look like he doesn't have breakaway speed. He's not breaking tackles. I think he gets contact before he even like meets a yard, which is awful. You want your running back to not be touched at least 2 to 3 yards into your run. He's getting touched automatically. It does not look pretty. This is a throwing team. Unless he's starting to get some dump offs or some screens or anything, which he did get in um against the Eagles game on Thursday. But I feel like Tyson Chandler, who is their backup running back, looked better on the screenplay. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Not much hope for Madison here. I I don't know. I mean, they really don't have anyone else unless they're going to trade for Jonathan Taylor or something. I mean,
Well,
this is going to be
I
his
was
back.
actually I was gonna contradict that a little bit.
Okay,
Um,
let's hear this.
so Kamara is obviously a question mark. When he comes back, will he be him? Okay. But you have Jalen Warren, who seems to be encroaching
Jalen.
on
Oh, we
on
love
your
that.
boys on your boys starting reps. And he also has Kyron Williams, who seems to be encroaching on Cam Akers. So he also has Raheem Mostert. So he's got
Oh,
three.
he's got depth. Never
Yeah,
mind.
he's got three
Throw
guys
Madison in the
that,
trash. You don't even have to worry about him anymore.
yeah, like honestly, for
Khalil Herbert, maybe.
I don't think he's starting Madison this week. I mean, maybe he is. I'm not sure. Oh, he
I
already did. Yeah, no, he did. He started Madison. It is what
wow.
it is. But for him, he's got what you would call an RB hero. All right, he's got age in the wide receivers. He's clearly all in this year. He's got the RB hero. He's got Christian McCaffrey. If one of those other four names, I'll include Madison in it. But if Madison, Kyron, Warren, or Mostert happen to become like a true consistent running back too, and Cooper Kupp gets back to health, and Amari Cooper gets back to health, and Alvin Kamara comes back out of his suspension even if he's only 70% of the old Alvin Kamara, Jose is going to be a team to reckon with.
Alvin Kamara. I just kind of want to just like look at his numbers. I used to be an Alvin Kamara holder. Last two seasons just really haven't been too pretty on the touchdown department from someone you expect that. His
Yeah.
receptions are completely down as well. 4 straight seasons of 80 receptions and more, and that's now he can't even get to 60. Kind of
Does he still fall into RB2 category in those years?
RB2, he does 8 and 8. Well, I guess it's PPR, so 8 and 16.
Yeah.
Um,
Not ideal, but still with Christian McCaffrey, you're smiling.
100%. I would agree with that. And obviously, yes, like you said, with these aging wide receivers, like Cooper Kupp should be okay. He should be returning week 5. Scary Terry is never someone that you hate to have. Like Scary Terry, Amari Cooper, this Keenan Allen type of mix, Tyler Lockett as well. All of these are good like wide receiver twos who can have wide receiver 1 weeks. I think it gives you a solid floor, but a very limited ceiling, per se. So I don't hate them. I agree with you. Um, Definitely I would say a playoff team if they can get healthy. I don't know if we even mentioned about Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews was talked about, even being TE1 of the season.
Yeah.
Obviously a little banged up for week 1, so it's a good person to have. His numbers from the past couple seasons have been pretty incredible. We do see him having a good season again of Lamar Jackson, if they can kind of get it together. But Lamar Jackson's honestly kind of also been kind of shaky the last couple of years, so it'll be
I
interesting
think
to see about that.
I think they need each other. I mean, I love Zay Flowers, but I think they need each other. I think Lamar is not Lamar without Andrews. And I think Andrews is not Andrews without Lamar. I mean, I think Andrews obviously has the lean in that relationship. Like Andrews can survive with a backup quarterback, but I think Lamar needs that big body receiver, tight end, obviously, who can just wall off linebackers and just throw a laser right to his chest. I think it
Yeah,
helps him a lot. I think Zay Flowers obviously helps him a lot because Zay Flowers' ability to create space. I don't think Lamar is a bad thrower. I just don't think he's a Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, put it in the perfect spot that only a receiver can catch it. I think Lamar can get the ball to people well, not perfectly.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, but moving on from Jose's team, obviously a team that's looking to compete right now. Hopefully they
Yep.
can get back to some health and get some good fortune there. All right, moving on to Mikey Mastro's team. All right. First thing I see here, I love to see Bijan Robinson. That was pick number 1. We love the boldness with the rookie. He already had a good week 1. I obviously do see great weeks moving forward. The Falcons, we already kind of said earlier today, they're a run first team. And they also mixed in Tyler Algier, which is awesome. It's good to not completely throw out Bijan Robinson to have 20 carries per game. What do you have, like 12 last week or something? 10.
Yeah, it
Awesome.
was really light. It was light,
10,
but
10, 6 receptions. I love those. I love the 6 receptions. Huge points right
yeah,
there.
yeah. He's. I honestly, I never really watched him in college. I mean, I knew the hype. I saw the highlight reel. Watching him in week 1, lining up in empty formations, he looks like a slot receiver.
And he's got
He's
the pop too. He just looks good on the
yeah,
screen. He looks good on the
it's
screen.
nuts. He's breaking ankles left and right. He's He's got such shiftiness in space. He's not light, like his body isn't light, but he's kind of long and lean. He's dense though. He's still over a 200-pound running back. It's very impressive. He's a unique athlete.
Yeah, so he should be continuing to move forward there. Moving on to his other running back, Kenneth Walker. So in episode 1, I had some feelings about Kenneth Walker. I just don't know if Kenneth Walker has the sauce that everyone thinks he has. He's definitely been a player from his rookie year, so he did not really have a lot of good yards per carry. Like most of his runs, he got tackled at the 1 or behind the line of scrimmage, but he has that breakaway speed, which made him such a big like fantasy player. I can't even imagine. I don't know the statistics of how many runs that he had for over 20 yards, but they had to be high. That's essentially where he's getting his fantasy points from. Now they brought in Zach Charbonnet, who honestly didn't really do anything week 1, but it's a rookie, so I didn't really expect that to be happening. It's going to be interesting to see what this backfield really looks like come week 8, week 9, week 10. And Kenneth Walker really needs to figure out how to put his shoulder down and get that 2-3 yards, honestly 3-4 yards between the tackles. I feel like if he's too much of an outside runner. I will say during the whole like draft process when he was at Michigan State, that is one thing that I saw all the time. He's always bouncing things off to this out to the outside all the time. And I feel like that's what he's doing in the NFL, and that's just not going to cut it. You can't just completely depend on your speed. I'm a little worried about him, to be honest. It's not someone that I highly want, but I know he is always talked about as a top 10 running back. I know we talked about last week Travis Etienne over Kenneth Walker. Travis Etienne said, I'm ready to take that with his week 1 performance. He looked good. But what are your thoughts about Kenneth Walker here?
Yeah, I like Ken, but I see where his ceiling is capped. I'm gonna make this comparison. It's not a very good one, but it's the only one I can kind of really think about right now. He is not Nick Chubb, but he's Nick Chubb in the sense that he's going to be the runner. He's not the receiver. I
Yes.
mean, he did make some catches his rookie year, which were like everyone kind of opened their minds to like, okay, maybe he could be a catcher. Then they drafted Charbonnet. Charbonnet is a catcher. He knows how to catch the ball. He knows how to be in space. Of the two, I still like Ken Walker more. I think Ken Walker's the veteran. I know he's only a second year player, but I think Carroll trusts this guy. I think Carroll wants this guy to succeed. I think Carroll also has the worst running back luck in almost any head coach's experience. So they've been drafting first, second round running backs for like 7 years now, and they all just keep getting injured. So I think the Charbonnet pick was an organizational depth choice. I don't think it was we like this guy more than Ken. So yeah, they might split work. I like you. I'm very curious to see what happens in week 8. By that time of the season, with the splits. But he's got who's his number running back 1, Bijan. So you got the consistent running back, right? We talk about that hero RB kind of strategy, just having at least one consistent guy per position. Kenneth Walker can be your spike week guy. I mean, he scored 10 points in week 1. You're not upset. You're not
Yeah.
upset about 10
Don't get me
points.
wrong. I don't think Kenneth Walker is going to be like an awful running back. Like I think he has that running back 2-3. Like
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be outside of top 36. So
I
I don't know.
I
I don't
think
know.
I think he's a lock for top 25, top 28.
Yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
I would say that as well. And then I also see he actually has Tyler Algier. So if I'm going to give you some advice here, you better be starting both of these people every single week. So you better be in your starting lineup this week. If he's not, actually he
I
put
mean,
him on
I
the trade
I mean,
block
I
this
would
week.
start.
He put him
I
on the
would
trade
start.
block this week. You see
Yeah, I
that?
would start Algier over Kirk. I think Kirk
100%.
is. I think Kirk is dust.
No,
I think he's done.
Kirk's going to get a touchdown today. Lock
Not
that
a
in.
listen. Not a chance, big dog. I know you love yourself some Kirk, but
He
Kirk is
is. He's
done.
really gonna get a touch. All right, when it happens, call me. All right,
Big dust ball.
moving on a little bit. We're getting a little bit carried away. We need to continue on moving here. So, Amon-Ra St. Brown, love him, love him, love
Stud.
him, love him. He's an absolute stud. Watch him cook today again.
Stud.
Someone that I'm very very high on. I think he got drafted in like his like real NFL draft. I think it was like a 4th round draft pick. It's just so amazing to see his superstardom come. I remember his rookie season. It started coming towards the back half of the NFL season where he was winning people fantasy championships, and he literally has not stopped since his rookie year in that last half. It's amazing. It's only up from here. I love T. Actually, I don't love T. Higgins. I don't know why I said I love. I'm not a T. Higgins person. Not even like outside of like the Jamar Chase stuff. Like I just don't think he just has it. I think he is overhyped. People are just like, oh, he's a top 12 wide receiver. No, he's not. I would probably put him around like a 20-ish. Once again, I'm not, this is kind of like with me and Kenneth Walker as well. I'm not saying he's going to fall out of the top 36 or anything, but I just don't think he's that wide receiver one that people are making him out to be. And I don't think he's ever really going to be like that. The Bengals don't want to give him a contract. He's going to be on a new team next season. It'll be interesting to see how that works out and where he's going to go. So unless he
Yeah,
takes a pay cut, it's going to be
yeah.
interesting.
Well, that's the hope. That's the hope for Higgins right now. If you own Higgins, if you're a Higgins owner, the hope is that he gets signed somewhere else, becomes the number one, and then you get to really see if he's that guy or not. But I actually agree with you. I think he's never going to really be better than a top 20 wide receiver. I'm sorry, then the 20 wide receiver. That's how I should phrase that. Because I don't so his history 28, 24, 18. Like 18 is the spike.
This
18
is
is the
very
spike.
DJ Moore-esque right here.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah,
is this
yeah.
is a DJ Moore kind of guy here.
You're never complaining about a wide receiver that's going to score you 200 points every single year, right? You're not complaining about that. But
But look at the
in an
game.
ideal
This is
situation, that's your
this is what you're
flex.
complaining
That's
about
not your
right
number
here.
two.
This is what you're complaining about. Boom. Kind of just disappears. We have some 20
Yeah.
weeks. We have some low 10 weeks and stuff
Four,
like
zero,
that. But
0, 2, 1,
it's just
10,
imagine starting T.
13.
Higgins and you made the championship last season and you put up 2.3. Oh, actually, never mind. That game got canceled. So that's why I put up 2.3. We're just gonna move on from that topic.
A
But
man almost died, Jason. A man almost died.
I know. But he didn't, so we love that. TJ Hawkinson, I think we kind of really just touched on before as well.
Stud.
He is, I think is someone I honestly really slept on. I didn't think anything too much about him, but he's getting these targets from Kirk on the Vikings. I don't
Yeah.
hate it, Hey, fire him up. Miles Sanders, someone I don't know. I feel like now I'm starting to think about like week one, but I don't really know how I felt about him approaching week one. Like obviously I knew he was going to be the running back, but I'm always on like I'm always looking up dynasty stuff. It's always on my Twitter. And you always see that whenever you're starting a rookie quarterback, there's very little rushing success that comes behind it because they can't like really lead the team. So that's just something that's always kind of appearing in my mind. Once again, I don't think he's going to be a wide running back one. I think he's going to be more like a running back type of three. So someone you could definitely put in your flex. Like, and you keep saying like there's going to be these spike weeks. That's probably going to be him. Even looking at week one, I don't really think he did anything last week, to be honest. So
I think he
actually,
had 10
18,
points.
18 for 72 is a pretty good workload. I like that. You got some
Yeah, I think he
receptions.
had 10 points. You're gonna have to wait to see
That's not
almost
bad.
12, almost 12 points. You're gonna have to wait to see how comfortable Young gets in the offense because Miles Sanders' upside is the screen game. Like he's gonna probably get you 50 to 100 yards a game, which is gonna be a nice decent workload. His points are not gonna come from touchdowns, in my opinion. His points are gonna come from when they finally start to use him in space, and they said they were going to. They that like bringing him in and signing him to Carolina. They said that they wanted to give him a Christian McCaffrey esque role. They wanted to get him, screens behind the line of scrimmage, flares out to the flats. They, he he will progress as the season goes on. I do still see him as a 2-3 running back 2-3. He's someone I wanted for a depth piece. He's a good RB3 on this team.
Correct. I'm glad he's not like starting in the one of these RB roles. Like
Yeah,
that's where I want to see him is in that flex position.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lastly, let's talk about his quarterbacks real quick. Geno Smith, Jared Goff. Those are two names that you don't get like super like excited about, but they get the job done, which is the important part here. Um,
I think Goff is someone that I slept on.
Goff was someone I was high on, but I don't think he's going to be giving you these like week winning weeks. I think you're really looking for these individuals to put up like these 16 to 22 point games per week type of kind of players. I don't think they're ever
Yeah.
really going to go off for 40. Maybe Geno Smith with his wide receiver core, but that didn't really happen last week. But only week one. We'll move on from there. But I do love the Jared Goff and Ross stack. I love stacks, that. So that's
Hmm.
something that we're going to be moving forward with. Maybe even Jameson Williams. I know this isn't a best ball league, so I wonder if he's ever really going to start him. Darnell Mooney had a week last week. I believe he had a touchdown, unless it was negated. No, he did have
I
a
got
touchdown.
I
Maybe.
got a good question for you here.
Let's hear it.
What do you think of the two tight end strategy he kind of hit here? Because he took Hawk in the fifth, and then he took Evans in the ninth. I think both were good values. I think he probably could have got Hawkinson a little bit later. They're both going to score points this year, but I think his team needs to start both of them. I mean, how do you feel about that?
You actually even traded for Evan Ingram if you look at the draft board.
Yeah,
So that's super interesting. I'm a very much the like hero TE. Like I'm a one TE kind of guy. I never really want to draft two. Is like honestly, like in my opinion, I don't even did Evan Ingram have some life last week? He did.
yeah, just under 10 points.
Interesting. But I mean, I would say tight ends across the board last week were just not the best. I'm very against the two TE mode, honestly. I just not something like even Mike's team. He had like Goddard and Pat Fryermuth. Like I think those are like good tight ends to have, but like I just feel like that limits your ceiling so much. Unless this was like a tight end premium where you're getting those extra points, I just don't really feel the need for it, honestly. I'm I want one of these. I want one of the good guys. That's what I want. If you don't get any of the good guys, I'm just gonna start uh throwing dart throws, who's going to score a touchdown this week. I'm really looking for that low floor type of guy. So not something that I'm truly about, honestly.
Yeah, and what you're saying is, and I think both of these guys are what you're saying. I think both of these guys are, all right, I'm dart throwing for a touchdown. I think Hawkinson
Hawk is
is a
getting the
little,
receptions though.
he's getting the receptions. I think Hawkinson's obviously the safer play than Evan. Um, Ingram did really well in Jacksonville last year, so he bolstered his value up. What I will say to Mike here is you might want to look for a team who's struggling at tight end.
Like
And
me, I'm struggling at tight end.
well, Mike, to speak to you directly, Mikey, if you believe in Evan Ingram, go get the value for TJ Hawkinson. If you think you're kind of like weh about Evan Ingram, then just get what you can for Evan and hold TJ. But if you think Evan can do what he did last year or better, then TJ is obviously the hot read right now. So get get some good value for Hawkinson, in my opinion. I like Hawkinson. I would have him on my team, but I wouldn't have him with a second number one tight end. So in my opinion, I would try to sell TJ high, keep Evan, roll with Evan, and just continue the strategy. If you can't sell TJ high, sell Evan low, and or wait for Evan to have a big blow up game and sell him high too. I wouldn't rock two starting tight ends. I mean, if you had the depth and you had Evan Ingram on your bench and you had another good wide receiver in that flex position, then I'm not critiquing you. But the fact that it looks like your team has to start two tight ends, it's a little bit shaky.
Star taller Algier. All right, moving on. All right, next is going to be Hangley's team. If wow, you really hate to see that first running back right there. RIP J.K. Dobbins for his career. But if I remember
Devastating.
correctly, honestly, I feel like Hangley's team was pretty young. I feel like he drafted a lot of like youngish
He
people, to be honest.
he I won't repeat that. He said something very funny at the draft, and yeah, we're gonna leave that be. Um, I mean, right? Hangley. You probably know what he
Yes,
said.
100%.
Um,
But I kind
yeah,
of
no,
want
I
to start off
like
with
I
Lamar
like.
Jackson here, though. Lamar Jackson,
Yeah,
we
go
were
ahead.
talking about before. So look at this. Since his MVP season, kind of shaky. Look at that. But I know he obviously gets injured and stuff like that. But 10, 15, 14, 27 stats from last week weren't the best. Didn't even throw a touchdown. Rushing yards weren't even that crazy. I don't know. It's something that is going to be something to monitor. If he really does not have a QB one season, Lamar Jackson's value is going to absolutely plummet for next season. Something to seriously monitor across all of these dynasty and the fantasy space for next season. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, highest ceiling, lowest floor. Like
Mm,
it's so scary to draft a Lamar Jackson, an RG3, a Michael Vick, a Cam Newton. Like you can be this 415 point scorer. You also can be injured in week 5 and done. So listen, I'm a high risk, high reward kind of guy. I wasn't targeting Lamar Jackson this year, but also he got paid after most people's drafts. To get paid is a big deal. Quarterbacks really start to settle in, feel comfortable, feel secure after they get paid. So now that he's paid, Kyle, you're hoping for that 2019-2020 season, the high 300, low 400 ceiling. That's what you're hoping for the next 4+ years. Kyle, if he doesn't get injured, you stole him. If he gets injured,
it's
like
true.
Jason
So
said,
the 111
he's gonna
kind of
he's gonna plummet. Like 111 is an absolute steal. The listener league that I'm in with the group
yeah.
that I play with, um, he went off at the 106, and it was from one of the hosts. So high risk, high reward. That's really what it is, and it could absolutely pay off for you. It could absolutely pay off. It could also be an injury next week and he's done. I, it just
Yeah.
it just is that.
Moving on to his running backs, I don't know if you're looking at his like starting lineup right now, unless he picks someone up off waivers, but this is looking pretty rough, Hangley.
Yeah, he's looking like me. He's looking like me. He's
I'm
looking
not
like a
I'm
very
I'm not gonna lie. Just like really looking at this team, this might be the worst team that I've seen in this league so far. No offense, Hangley. Hey, we still love you, guy. But I don't know. This team is just not really it. I just keep scrolling up and down and I'm not seeing much and kind of makes
I
me a
mean,
little
there's
bit
names that
worried.
can develop. Like what he
100%.
did, was the true this is the true 1 year punt. If my team was, kind of a 1 year punt, young guys, but they're kind of already established, this is a true 1 year punt. This is get as much high capital as you can, keep the best assets that you have, try to sell off anything that is not an asset to you, and just go for the next generation. Like Jacoby Myers, good
Kobe
young talent.
Myers. Sell
Roshan
him.
Johnson,
Sell
good
him.
young talent. Garrett Wilson, good young talent. DJ Moore, young talent is a question mark. He's a good RB2 or a wide receiver two.
T.
Dalton
Higgins.
Kincaid, good young talent.
Look
Rashi
at T.
Rice, good
Higgins
young
here.
talent. CJ Stroud, good young
Crazy.
talent. Cole Komet, good young talent. Like I could just keep going. I mean, obviously the J.K. Dobbins sucks big time. Um,
After such a good start too, like that's so sad. Look at
yeah.
that
What he's
touchdown.
also got Quentin Johnson. He's got
I will say I'm
Donovan's
not a
People
Quentin Johnson
Jones.
guy though. So the Quentin Johnson thing, just I wish that was someone else. If that was someone else, I think I would be a lot happier. I'm just not a Quentin Johnson guy, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm not an NFL scout or anything. I just like I don't know. I don't like it, but I love Dalton Kincaid. I think
yeah.
Dalton Kincaid. Hangley, if you want to trade him, I'm your guy.
Well, he's
Uh,
also got Musgrave and Kraft, like two
Musgrave,
also
Musgrave
very good.
is
Yeah,
getting
two
the hype.
very good depth young tight ends. A year from now, Kyle's team is going to look like middle of the pack.
Rashi
Two
Rice scored
years
a
from
touchdown
now,
last week as well. So
yeah,
interesting.
two years from now, 2025 season is when Kyle's going to look like he's got a crap ton of depth. He's got a couple good draft picks under his belt.
You're not wrong.
Like
You're not wrong.
this is a true punt. This is a true punt. A lot of young names that should develop, could develop, and I'm not against it. There's a couple names that could have been better picks where they were taken, like Rashid White is was never a guy I was really targeting. He was a very boomer bust candidate. Looks like he's going to be a bust. Um, yeah, I don't hate Kyle's team. you gotta play it the right way, Kyle. Keep keep doing research, keep understanding what you have. Learn what youth can do about 2 years from now.
Yes, he's got to
Um,
go full youth movement. So
yes.
that is the advice there, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I
Agreed,
don't know, but
agreed.
like you mentioned, obviously I love Garrett Wilson. No Aaron Rodgers though, which kind of stinks. But his catch last week was cool. Let's keep that going. DJ Moore, basically T Higgins Jr. We don't really want that. I'm not really a big Cole Kmet kind of guy. Did he do anything last week?
He
Wow,
was fine.
7 targets.
He was a
That
tight
is
end one. What
that
was
is
he,
some
7 on the week?
odd stuff. Yeah, but tight ends did not have a good week last week overall. It was bad. It was bad
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But honestly, 7 targets is not bad, especially for an offense that apparently does not throw. Um, interesting, interesting.
He could develop. But between
Not
him
a contract
and
year, though.
Kincaid and
CJ
Musgrave
Stroud. You
and
also didn't talk about
Kraft.
CJ Stroud at all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Stroud. He's gonna need a year. He's gonna need a year. He's gonna be okay. You might get some 10-point weeks from him, which is gonna suck. But I think more than often he's gonna be a 15, 16 point scorer. I mean, Kyle, here's the truth. You're not making the playoffs this year. And that's okay. So what you gotta do is you gotta look at when your assets are at their highest value. And if you know you want to keep them, don't touch them. But if there's someone that you might want to move on from, be ready to trade. Like a lot of this league is brand new to Dynasty. And just, I don't want to give anybody the golden goose here, but you got to know like the stocks, right? Like anything that holds value, the gold market, the silver market, you got to know when's the time to start talking about moving on. Like I said, DJ Moore is a good candidate. Um,
It's like peak bot for NFL players. You got to know when to
Seriously,
sell.
peak bot. Let's go. People of the world, figure it out. Call them up, sign themselves up. All right.
All right, but
I
I will
expect
say,
some riches from that. All
just
right.
like
I expect some riches from that shout out.
yeah, exactly.
Um
Sponsor us. Anyways, so, but I will say one name that I'm very interested in, Roshan Johnson, that could really kind of, honestly, he's probably starting Roshan Johnson this week in his starting lineup. I wouldn't be surprised about that. But
yeah,
he
he
looked,
is.
yeah, exactly. So just a name to honestly look out for, and I think that is going to really be a part of his rebuild here. Roshan Johnson was a good running back prospect, but he was hidden behind Bijan Robinson, so that's exactly
Yeah.
why no one really talks about him like that. So. But anything to say about Roshan Johnson before we move on?
No, kid's a stud. He's gonna own that backfield soon. And Kyle, just like I said to Mastro, um, try to sell your tight ends. You got four young, talented tight ends. You don't need that many.
You don't need that many. All right. Last team of this review is Jack's team. Um,
Dog.
Starting it off here, we see Justin Fields and Daniel Jones, two rushing quarterbacks, which you love to see in fantasy football. Obviously, Daniel Jones did not have a good week last week, but hey, we're just going to give him that pass. The Giants looked absolutely awful. Nothing was really going their way. So we'll throw week one out for now. But I really do like
Devastating.
the Daniel Jones and Justin Fields type of play here. Me and you obviously continue to be talking about this whole rushing capability. Like it is just so beneficial to have a rushing quarterback. They just get so many more points. Justin
What
Fields,
did uh what did Fields end up with last week? I didn't look at his stats. 17, 18 points? What did he end up with?
16.
Eh. Hey,
16, but he only got 5 from rushing. So
yeah,
not like terrible. But I really want you to look at these attempts. People
yeah.
are literally not they are crapping on Justin Fields so bad. 37 attempts for a quarterback that doesn't throw the ball, 24 completions. Come on. I'm biased a little bit because I have Justin Fields in another league, but I think he's gonna be okay. He just needs
I think last week for both of these quarterbacks was an outlier. I think they're both better than obviously what they put up last week. I think Justin Fields is a 18 to 22 point scorer per week. I think Daniel Jones is a 17 to 21 point scorer per week. And like we talked about in previous teams, I think both of these are spike quarterbacks. So if one week Daniel Jones spikes to a 30, 40 point game because he goes for a 60-yard touchdown run. And then Fields has a regular 18, 20 point game. I think each week they're going to balance each other out. One's going to have a normal week, one's going to have a spike week.
But
And then if
I'm
you're
cool with
lucky,
normal week. The normal week floor
absolutely.
is amazing. Like
Absolutely.
they have such a high floor. It's incredible. Like
Yes.
this is an underrated quarterback duo in this league.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely. It's actually a quarterback duo I would prefer. It's a
Yeah.
quarterback duo that I would prefer because he probably got them pretty cheap. I mean, 6th round for Daniel Jones is
That's a,
right around market
that's
value, maybe a little cheaper than market value.
I
And
think that's a
Fields
steal.
at 12 was market value, but we all knew that he was underrated. We
Yes.
all knew that he was underrated.
You're
So I think he,
you're definitely like shooting your shot with Justin Fields here. Like
yeah,
you're going off his hype. Like
yeah,
first round pick is a little bit wild, but like that's where he's going. Like if you're
yeah,
gonna get him, you had to get him there.
yeah. I I think we agree. I think they both have this high ceiling opportunity week to week. And like I said earlier, you're hoping that when they both spike, it happens against one of those stud teams in the league. It happens against the Patrick, it happens against the Jose, and then you get lucky by taking down one of the big dogs and forcing your way into the playoffs. I think Jack's team is a playoff team. I mean, we can move into the other positions, but
No,
I
I
think Jack's
agree.
team is
That's
a playoff team.
me just looking at his team. Like you see Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, David Njoku really holding down those top 5 spots. It's pretty incredible, honestly. Josh Jacobs, obviously running back 1, Derrick Henry, running back 1, AJ Brown, wide receiver 1, Calvin Ridley coming back from the dead, 100 yards last week and a touchdown. Are you kidding me? I love
Guy's
that.
a dude.
I
He's a
literally
dude.
love that. David Njoku, underrated tight end. I really would say Jack just really needs to figure out what he's doing with his flex spots. If he can nail some of these flex spots, I love Jahan Dotson. He's an automatic start for me. Joe Mixon, probably also an automatic start. I know did not have a good week last week, but who on the Bengals did have a good week? 13 attempts is something that you're looking for. 3 receptions. Keep that train moving. Let's see. Juju, I don't know if I'm a Juju guy. Probably would be more, I guess, Alan Lazard in their flex. Maybe Allen
Yeah, he
Robinson
doesn't
come
have
back from the dead. That's crazy.
yeah, he doesn't
Uh,
have immense depth.
no,
Um, he really has, I should say, has barely any depth. But
it's not.
if he can avoid the injury bug and, one or two of these guys on the bench that we didn't expect to become flex players becomes a flex player, he'll have enough. He'll have enough to compete. He needs 2 guys on his bench to be 10-point scorers. If that happens for him, like Boston Scott with an injury could become one of those guys, right? Devin
Mm,
Singletary
Boston Scott, you're
could,
starting Boston Scott with confidence.
I'm saying with an injury, like let's say Swift goes down
I
or
would be very, very sad if I had to start Boston Scott at a flex. No way.
well, he's an opportunity guy. Like the same way I have Ford on Cleveland, like he's just there in case anything happens to Chubb. Like I have to start him because I have no running backs, but the idea is that you draft these RB2s on their team, not RB2 as a fantasy player, but the second in the lineup for these teams because you never know in this game of football when like J.K. Dobbins situations, all of a sudden Gus Edwards and Justice Hill are the biggest waiver wire pickups, right? So you're getting these guys just in case they have opportunity. Boston Scott has done great things for the Eagles. So that's why they have him there and that's why they've kept him. Penny's washed
Penny
and
washed.
Gainwell
What a statement for week 2. Penny
he's
is washed.
shot. He's shot. It's Swift's team and Gainwell's getting more action than Penny. Like it's over. He's done. So if Swift goes down, Penny's going to lose the spot, and then all of a sudden it's a Gainwell Boston Scott situation, just like it was last year.
Did you hear that FaceTime? I'm sorry.
I didn't catch any of that. You're good.
Good, good.
What do you think of David Njoku?
I like David.
Is he a tight end one?
Is he a tight end 1? Well, tight end 1s, there's not a lot of tight ends out there in the world. Like
How about this?
I would pencil him
Is he
in
a top
for.
6? Is he a top 6? Is he
Mm,
someone that
mm.
you are pumped about having and you think the best of the best? Or is it more of the negative mentality? Because he's an athletic freak. His college debuts and his college career was nuts. and then it just kind of hit a big stop sign in the NFL.
I'm
But also,
definitely
he's still young. He's still
I'm
so young.
I'm not saying I'm like over the moon to have David Njoku, but I feel like I feel like he's at that tier break of just like, okay, David Njoku is the last tight end left. Like, I need to grab him more. I'm absolutely not gonna have anybody. Like, let's even put
Yeah.
that let's put that theory to the test here. David Njoku and the next one, Cole Kmet. I don't want Cole Kmet. Are you kidding me? Pratt Fire move, Evan Ingram. Like, I think honestly that was pretty spot on. Like, he is the last resort tight end. Like, okay, after this, people, we're looking at some ugly stuff here. Cole Kmet come after it. Michael Mayer, Dalton
The
Schultz,
rookies, all
Tig,
the rookies go off after.
Voltage. Well, some rookies like obviously like Don Kincaid went before that, so like that's someone who I want. I wouldn't even say probably Sam Laporta obviously went before him as well. Maybe. Where is Sam Laporta?
No, they're after.
There
They're
he
all
is,
after.
number 13. So I don't know, but he's at that fine line of like, I think he's going to be okay. He's going
If
to
you
be
if you
someone that you're never going to be worried. Like, I don't know if worried's not is the correct word here. Like, I don't know.
I think he's I'm I'm not one who wants to own David Njoku, but
Would you
there's
rather
so
just
much.
wait for?
Yeah, there's so much talk. There's so much talk about his ability, this and that. He's got two huge things in his way. Is Deshaun Watson the guy, or is he not? Still unproven. I mean, he's better than the average quarterback, but he's not the dude that he was in Houston yet. And is Cooper healthy? Right? If Cooper has a full healthy season, no one's really getting fed other than him and Elijah Moore because it's a Chubb team, right? So
You need
If
David
Cooper
Njoku
has
to
a
be
bad year,
red
if
zone
Cooper
guy.
Cup has a bad year, not Cooper Cup, if Amari Cooper has a bad year, then David Njoku will probably step up into a target hog role. But I bring up the name because it's a name that has, you know, crowds. There are crowds who are true David Njoku believers. There are crowds who just think he's fully washed. I lean I lean to that direction. Um, but shoot your shot, right? Shoot your shot in the 10th round.
Okay, I mean, I think you bring up a very good question that, but kind of like to say even what you said before about this team. This looks like a playoff team. If any injuries do come, though, I am definitely very, very fearful. All right, that really kind of wraps up our draft summary here. Well, I think I kind of want to do what we did like last week as well from these six teams. Like, who are your playoff guarantees here? I would say, I would say Jack is definitely like my top out of this six that we reviewed here today. Jose's kind of scaring me a little bit with some of these injuries, like, but you know, it's only week 2, and there is literally 17 weeks in this fantasy season, so he should probably be all right. He'll sneak in there. If not, he'll probably even overtake a couple things. Everyone else, I'm kind of like iffy on. I would say Mike Mastro, maybe he kind of has that life. Mike maybe as well if things can kind of come together. I feel like there's a lot of like middling teams here, so it's going to be interesting to see how these things kind of work out. Hangley's team definitely needs to. We're punting for next year for sure, for sure.
I think I think Jose of the four that you just mentioned, because those are the four that I highlighted as well. I think Jose is the guarantee to make the playoffs. Granted, everyone's healthy, uh, mid season, and he can get enough wins towards the back. He's going to be a back half of the year monster. If you
Mm-hmm.
have him after week 5, it's upsetting because he's gonna be a good team the back half of the year. Jack is healthy, his team is healthy. If he maintains health, Jack will sneak into the playoffs. If Michael Mero is healthy, he will sneak into the playoffs. If Mike Mastro is healthy, he will sneak into the playoffs. In this league of fellas who are, we got about 4 guys who are seasoned, maybe 3 guys who are seasoned in Dynasty, and about 6 or 7 who are not, maybe even closer to 7 or 8 who are not. It's a lot more even than I thought it would be. It's a lot
100%.
more even than I
I
thought it'd
mean,
be.
it's
I
year
think
one still.
there are two definite not going to make the playoff teams. There are 3 definite gonna make the playoff teams, and then it's an absolute battle. There's a battle for seven teams who's going to make that playoff run. Um,
For sure, for sure.
so it's interesting. It's very very interesting.
All right, let's do this week one kind of like recap over here, looking at the matchups. Like we even said, episode one, Pat's team is ridiculous. 206 points. The next best
Yeah,
team
baby.
was literally me, and I scored 70 points less than him. That is insane. Patrick, I don't know what you did to us on draft day, but you're a scammer. I don't know how you got this team. It's crazy. I've never seen the second I even saw his team when he was drafting, like wow, we were like in round 10, and I was like, all right, this guy's got a powerhouse low key. Like it's kind of ridiculous.
The Young
Everything.
Bucks trying to make some bread.
Hey, I know, and I remember when I drafted, he was like, "This guy's gonna steal our money." Talking to me, I'm not stealing anybody's money. My team's not doing anything right now. So, but I'm seriously, I think the Pat situation here is pretty incredible. Like we said last week, look at this team. Who's he even facing this week? Well, we'll go into that in like a little bit later, but obviously, 200 points is pretty ridiculous for any single fan
Any,
this week.
yeah,
So.
anybody at
You're
any time.
you're obviously what you really want to be approaching in like a dynasty league that is like a start 10. We start 10 people, correct? Uh,
2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. Is it 11 with Superflex? Let's see.
Yeah.
3, 6, 9. No, it is 10.
Oh,
So
my bad.
for a 10 team, you definitely want to be approaching this like 120 to like 120, I would say is like it's decent and might get you a win. But if you're like at 150, you're most likely probably gonna get a win. And none of us even hit that. Like
None of
Pat
us.
at 200, and it's actually insane.
Yeah.
Hangley's team, 77 points. Like we said, he's definitely not one of the best teams. Um, uh, Frank Mastro got really lucky with that win. These are my two teams that I'm kind of like worried about right there. Sean's team also is a young buck. Sean, set your lineup, you goober, or I will come after you. Um, uh, Everything else, I don't know. Like you said, everything's kind of like middle of the pack. It's going to be interesting to see how things kind of move forward from there. Anything to say about these matchups? Anything you want to really look into here?
Not really. Um, I think they tell their story. I think their stories match what we've said in their reviews. It's gonna be tight in the middle. Unfortunately for most of us, we won't really have a chance to compete with those top 2, 3 teams. But again, it's the NFL. Injuries happen. Um, and not to put Patrick's team down, but his wide receivers are all 29 plus. So, hope that those hamstrings stay healthy, buddy. They are old men who are good at football, but I'm 30 and I know how the hammies hold up. So to be a professional athlete at that level is just unbelievable.
Looking into week two here, it looks like we kind of have some matchups that are kind of enticing here. I would say probably it would be these bottom two. Pat versus Jose, kind of a powerhouse there, maybe a championship type of matchup. Uh,
Yeah.
Me and Noah are projected pretty closely. How am I projected 152? I have absolutely no idea. Maybe I think my team is bad and maybe it is actually good. Maybe we'll squeak out a win. I have no idea.
No, it's definitely bad.
D Farmer Brown, you're looking to get that dub. I think Hangley is an automatic dub. Which is kind of sad to say, but you're punting, so it's okay. Um,
Hangley and Sean are looking to see who can punt the furthest this year.
that is definitely looking like it, but it should be exciting. I will say kind of some week two things to kind of look out for. I do see the Bengals kind of rebounding here. Jamar Chase is going to have a week, so Mike has Jamar Chase. I expect a big week out of him.
Yeah,
Um,
Mike needs to come out with a win here. Who do you think? Let's do this question. I like this question because I've heard this out in the world of podcasts. Who's on the hot seat? Who needs to win? It's week 2. No one needs to win, but
who needs
who's
to
got
win?
who's got the pressure right now to win based off of their team's situation and who they're playing. So for me, the hot seat right now is Mike. Mike is definitely in a winning window. I say Mike Mero is in a winning window, and he's in a tight match against a Jack team that is a playoff team. So
Oh,
Mike
that's
might be Mike might be 0-2 this week.
This might be. Let's just analyze this matchup right now. Then let's just go for it. You look off right off the bat here. Like Honestly, I feel like I just got Jack's team. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe.
Well, here's the thing too is like he doesn't really have a QB2. I don't believe in Ritter, and Richardson is okay. He's going to be okay, but he's coming off that injury. He's not going to run. He's just not.
Yeah, I guess he must win, like you said, week two, kind of wild. Especially since we don't really know how the lineups or like the stands are going to look like kind of mid-season. But he definitely, this would be a huge win for Mike. He is projected to win, so that's obviously encouraging. AJ Brown had a down week, so you really want to take advantage of that. If Drake London can match or overcome AJ Brown, that's essentially what you're looking for with that kind of like matchup since AJ Brown played on Thursday. Um, Anthony Richardson, what did he score last week? 20?
He did
20?
well, yeah,
That's incredible.
but
Let's
he but
let's
he
run it
he
back.
got that leg injury, so you got to be careful. You got to be careful with that.
He'll be okay. He's a young buck. What is he? 21?
Probably 21. Yeah,
So he'll be okay. He's got the gene. Look at that, 21. He'll be okay.
not yeah, not to call you out, big dog, but you could be looking at 0-2 as well.
If I go 0-2, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't understand how I'm projected 152 points.
That's a tight matchup. That's a tight
Honestly,
matchup right
you know
there.
what I said last week? Raheed Shaheed is going to be a person to break out. Look at him. I'm starting him this week, so I love to hear it.
Yeah,
But yeah, so things to kind of look out for. Next week we'll
Russell
definitely
Wilson will either save you or dig your grave.
100%, and I don't really have another quarterback, I believe. Oh, I have Sam Howell, so that's always
Call me up, guy.
so I don't know. We'll see. But it's gonna be really interesting to see how things really do develop in this league. We have some people who are definitely going to be very, very competitive, and people are going to be on the basement, and it's just going to be this battle for the middle. Yeah, any teams that you're looking out for this week, like actual like NFL teams to rebound? I think it's going to be a good Giants week, so we'll see Saquon
Yeah,
kind of in there. Um, some other let's see some NFL matchups. The Bengals versus Ravens game. I know I just said the Bengals before. This should be a pretty good matchup. Niners for life. I think they're going to obviously continue to dominate here.
I'm curious. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see how the Rams react in that game because they had a very good, unexpected, very good week one. And if the Rams put up a show, I don't think they're going to win. But if they put up a show, the Rams might be. It might be them again. They might be someone to reckon with in the playoffs. So I'm personally trying to see how the Rams do because their whole team is like undervalued right now. So they might turn into some valuable pieces.
Yeah, for sure. Chiefs versus Jaguars today, so hopefully that's like a high scoring game. Let's get those fantasy points rolling. Packers and
Yeah.
Falcons is a game that I'm really interested in. We didn't really talk too much about. Well, I guess we did Jordan Love last week, and we are both kind of into Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But he had a great first week, so kind of like moving forward with that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the Packers are just, I don't want to give credit to any other team than the Giants, but for whatever reason, they just draft good quarterbacks.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
impressive. They're going to be a third generation, they're going to be a third decade, I should say, of potentially top 15 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, we surpassed our hour mark here by a little bit. So, you wanna say the goodbyes to the folks out here?
Yeah, you bet. So, fellas, week one scares the crap out of you. Week two, even scarier. Let it settle in. Let it settle in. All right. So the guys who already know they're at the bottom, start making calls, baby. Let's get some trades going. We've only
Yeah,
had
make
what?
make me some calls because
Yeah,
this is
Jay
awful.
wants some calls.
Josh
Hey,
Allen on the block. No, I'm kidding. No, he's not.
easy, easy, fellas. Uh, this league's gonna be fun. It's good stuff. We got the full recaps in. We got week one, a little bit of commentary in. Week two commentary will be coming. Let's try to get a couple guys on the podcast. Let's try to get a
Yeah, let us know. Week three, we're inviting someone every single week, so come through.
yeah, we're gonna try to get a new team owner on the cast each week, kind of shake things up, get people's opinions other than the doofus here and the guy above me.
Yeah,
Um,
this number two.
so week two's on the rise. Good luck to everybody. Stay healthy. Week one was so devastating, and
Yeah, Pat,
Till next time.
come on episode 3 so you can overreact to your team. I want to see
Yeah,
you.
we get Patrick getting a little excited at the beginning of the game. All right, let's try that. Let's try to let's shoot for Patrick.
All right, Pat, you better listen to this and I better see
Yeah, don't
a
upset
message.
the fans.
All right. All right, brothers. Have a good Sunday. Football is back, the best day of the year. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.